I have a pre-existing order template loaded up on the screen, and when you are working with these, it's very easy to actually go about determining what kind of functions you're looking at on there and kind of trying to emulate or play around with them and so on like that. You'll see, for example, I've got things like void item buttons, I've got little arrow buttons, I've got sections here that show the total of the check and so on like that. All different types of things that apply to order template. And if I want to get a good handle in terms of what each one of these represents, all you have to do is just select on it. And then over here, just above the component inspector, is a list of the actual components that show up within the template. Actually, what I'm looking at here is a master list of everything that exists on this form. And so within here, you can scroll up and down and you can select on any one of them. And you'll notice just by selecting it, it then highlights the given application that you're working with on the form itself. And then, of course, all of the component inspector settings down below also change to match that as well. So that being said, if I was to take a look, let's say at the item list, okay, this is the section where on the finished screen the contents of the check show up. So if I select on this, you'll notice now over on the right hand side says pixel item list number 1. Okay, if I had multiple item lists, then they would show up within there as 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. But on this I've got pixel item list, and that's what that is. I know it's an item list. Now if I go just to the right of it, for example, I've got add deposit. Now if I select on that, I now have deposit button, pixel function button. And so within this, I know that this is actually a function button. The function type is special. Its application is add deposit, and I've got all my settings for that. Also, I have things such as amount due. Okay, now if I wanted this to show up, let's say on any other screen or any area or so like that, I can select on it. And it shows here pixel label 3. And so within here, the type of item this is, the type of component is that it's a label, and within this I have chosen the function type of being special, and within that this one is actually amount due, and so that will show up on there. Whereas with tender, that's also a label, but it is the tender label. Now if I go, for example, over to here, like on the individual buttons in the keypad, I can select, for example, the 9. And on this I am now on a function button again. It is a keypad button. The function name is 9. Now, even though the name of it does reflect 9, that doesn't necessarily mean that will correspond with its function. So for example, if I chose on the 6, rather than being pixel function button 6, it's actually pixel function button 10. Okay, and I have a list of all the different functions in here, and it's just a matter of how they were applied within the system, when they were applied, and so on like that. There's no direct correlation between the name and its actual function itself. And then finally, if I chose on, let's say, the methods of payment. Now, selecting on this, the way it's designed right now, instead of being individual function buttons, this is actually a button list, payment method list. And so within this, pixel button list, and so within this, it's been set up as a button list. And along with this, then it is a payment type, whereas I could change it over maybe to a sale type, just for something silly to do on the finish screen. But things like that. So when you're setting this up and you're trying to figure out, well, how do I apply this into another screen or so on like that, take a look at an existing template, just select on the item, and then from there it will tell you over in the master list here in terms of what it actually is. In this case, pixel memo button, and you can go through the settings and so on.